Yes, people, how's everyone? Hope everyone is doing good. This is a bit of a different one, although OGs here will know this is what I used to do a lot more. Just speak about a certain topic that I like or that intrigues me. I was listening to the presser today with obviously Daniel Farkas, and a lot of the talk was on recruitment in the last week of the window, what that looks like, what the structure is. How do we decide if we sign a player? Now, obviously, working in that field, there's maybe a bit of an insight here, but the point is, and the main point is, every structure is different. And the main point of a structure is, in order for it to work, every aspect of it has to be solid, has to be strong. That's why the team is so important. Whether that's the manager, the director of football, the head of recruitment, the scouts, you're a team and you work together. And as long as you're on the same page and the same understanding, you're likely to be successful. And it's interesting when he was speaking about the structure. Like I said, it's different in every club. It's very different. But he said at Leeds United, the scouts find the players. Now, the key part here is, and I'm assuming this is the same, most managers design a KPI, key performance indicator, outlet. So they create what player they want in each position, what they should be good at, basically. And then the scouts go and find and try and identify these players, hence why you use statistical data to help you identify, and then why you use the eye to actually watch the player. That's usually what happens. That's usually the model. And then from that, they pick the players. The manager will look through the players. Yes or no, 100% yes, number one target, number two target, da-da-da. Then they take it to the higher-ups who decide financially if the deal's viable, and then you sign the player. That's usually, and that's what Daniel Farkas described. But what the manager also described was, he said exactly what he wanted. Obviously, he didn't go into the deep minutiae of to what the specific profile of the player is. He's not going to do that. He's going to do that to the scouts and the head of recruitment. But he said what he wanted, and he said what he wanted now 3 or 4 times this season, and it's the same thing. He mentioned, and when you plan a squad, this is the most important thing that maybe is not getting took into consideration by a lot of people. When you plan a squad, firstly, you look at it on paper. That's how it works. But there's many considerations in that. It's not just about how many players you have. Within those players, what is their injury record? If you're looking at a squad, say you have 2 right wingers, or 3 right wingers, for example, right? But 2 of them missed 8% of last season with an injury. Or if you're looking at it in January, and they've only been available for 5 or 6 games all season, you're going to look at that as an option to recruit in. It's not just about what you have there on paper. It's looking at each player, actually, are they reliable? Vober is a good example. In theory, that's an excellent backup left centre-back at this level. It is. It's quality. But how many games has he played? How many games has he been available to play? The answer is not many. He's been around since the start of the season, and how many games has he been available to play? He's still not available now. He still has knee issues. He has to be monitored. That provides an air of uncertainty about the player. When you couple that with Pascal Struijk, who again, on the face of it, top option, but also a player who in the last years and years has always had a problem with injuries, you have to be cautious to rely on that player. So this is why, on paper, Pascal Struijk, Vober, great. But how available actually are they? And can you rely on them to be fit for a full season? The answer is no. I mean, as a recruitment team, as a manager, as a club, you will look at that if you're good or capable of doing it and go, we can't rely on him. So we have to be awake, Daniel Farkas says, we need to be awake, in the sense that if that does happen, an injury does happen, which is very likely, then we can move quickly. There's also the consideration of contracts as well. Who's out of contract? Who's out of contract at the end of the season? What that does is, in January, that brings up speculation. That brings up uncertainty of what the player will do. Because they're under the contract. They might look for a move now, right? Their agent might be looking for a move. Something might come up in the last minutes. Something might come up at the end. Then you're in trouble. When that player is Junior Firpo, who's a key player for you, again, you have to be awake and ready to pounce. Either you sign a new contract, or with a player with less 6 months, they can negotiate with the clubs. Right? It's not really in our hands if he hasn't signed a new contract. So then we have to be ready. What if something happened in January? Okay. You need the names. These are the ones you've got to focus on. And the obvious one is where you're short in position and what profile you need. Again, talking about what the manager wants, the KPIs he needs for the key performance indicators. Those are the players, the main bulk of players that you will be looking at. Players that fit the system in each position. Particularly in a position where you are just generally short, like Farkes said in the presser. Yes, we can put players there, but we want an expert in that. We want a specialist. That's how it works. That's how you recruit. You recruit for a specialist in a position. Otherwise, there's no point. We'll just sign a winger. We'll just sign 10 of them and play them all across the front four. Keep rotating them. You know, you need a specialist in that role because that's the role you're looking for. That's the role you need. In the manager's brain, in what the manager sees on the pitch and what he wants his players to do in each position, you have to sign a specialist in each role. Right? And then playing someone there that isn't that, sort of winger or an 8, with similar attributes to some of them attributes in the 10, then it becomes, right, we'll put them in there if there's an injury issue. If there's 2 or 3 players out or a red card, then they can go in there. But the key part is, as a team, as a recruitment team, you're the first call. You get what the manager wants in each position, and then obviously you'll be assigned teams and games and all that. And then it's your job then, working with the head of recruitment and the chief scouts, for example, to find them players for the manager. That's the first call. And then you can see, the better technology you have, the better data you have, the better scouts you have, the more results will come up. And then it's on the judgment of either the head of recruitment or the manager to decide from the list which player is the best suited. You know, it's all about decisions. It's all about teams working together, like I said at the start of the video. It's interesting. And Daniel Farkas said it really well. And I feel for him at times because he's clearly saying what he wants. He's telling us that. So clearly, and believe me 1000%, scouts will be working hard to try and find the right option for him. But he's not just going to take anyone, and you shouldn't. They need to find him the right player at a level. Right, that's the key part. Now, if they are providing him with that player, then it's on back. We'll go, yep, like the player. Then it's on the upper to negotiate the deal. So if we don't sign anyone this window, what I'm saying is it is clear, very clear from what managers said in the last 3 or 4 weeks, that he wants 2 or 3 players. Specifically, he's mentioned centre-back. He's mentioned the number 10 and striker. But the main one is the 10. He mentions it almost every time he's asked. He says he wants a 10. He needs a different profile. He wants a specialist to help out Aronson. He literally said that in the press conference. So now, if you don't get him that, the team hasn't worked. And I understand, trust me, that it's difficult. It is difficult. It is 100% more difficult. It's in the middle of the season. It's harder. But if he wants that, it's your job to do it for him. And it's your job as a team, everyone to come together to resolve it. And it's the same for any team. You know, that's the part of the job. It's not easy. Trust me. It's difficult. You've got to make decisions quickly on what you think is good enough. When you're watching that player, you have to say, is he good enough? And if they're not, if their options that you're watching are not good enough, then the manager is not getting what he asked for, which is players that are good enough. You know? But he wants that. It's clear. So if we don't get him it, the team structure, whether that's because of financial reasons, because we couldn't find in the players, because the manager didn't want the players that were provided because they're not good enough or are the level that he wanted, if whatever happens, if there's no resolve, that's a problem. because the team hasn't worked efficiently, right? Same for anyone. If I'm in that position, if anyone's in that position, work. That's what it is. If you fail, you need to reevaluate what's gone on and try and figure it out. But the fact of the matter is, there's Premier League football on the line. And it's the players you're bringing in, the players for the manager. They're the ones he wants. They specifically give you instructions of what type of player. And it's important to know as well, like, even as a scout, and I don't know how this works at Leeds. This is actually quite important. I don't know how this works at Leeds. But from what I've experienced doing some scouting, you are, as a scout, provided with the games and players that they want you to watch. Now, within them games, you can, if you spot anyone else that you like, you'll report on those players as well. Of course you can. So that's an important selection as well. How wide are the club looking? Are they just looking in England and Germany? You know, look at our signings. They're all from England and Germany, bar one or two. Ramazani, for example, he played in England his entire life until 2 or 3 years ago. Schmidt is the exception, and he's not playing. So does the manager really want those players? Is he so keen on the Bundesliga or Bundesliga 2 and England? Because I know for a fact, well, not for a fact, it's never a fact, that's ridiculous. But I believe there is very good players in the likes of, in terms of fullback or centre-back, in the likes of Belgium, the Eredivisie, you know, even Portugal, Sweden, Switzerland, who could be good for this team. Are we looking in those markets? Are we aware of them players? Does the manager want them players? Is he very strong on what leagues he wants to scout in? That's the one thing I don't know about the structure. I don't know how that works at Leeds, and I'm intrigued to find out because it's fun for me. But anyway, I hope everyone is good. I'll see you guys in a bit. There will be a left back video coming soon because I think it's somewhere we need to look at. But yeah, see you guys in a bit. Bye-bye.